Welcome to Conversations with Tom Shorkey. Conversations explores the past, the present, and the future of the communities in which we live through the eyes of interesting individuals. Now let's join our host, Tom Shorkey.
Welcome to Conversations. I'm your host for today's show, Tom Shorkey. With us today is a lifelong area resident who is going to tell us about investing almost $2.6 million into the operation that they run in St. Clair. When you see my guest today, you will recognize her because she is probably one of the most recognizable faces for when most of our community goes to the grocery store. Our guest today is Kathy Neiman Pizzo. Welcome to the show, Kathy.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
And for that rare person who doesn't go to the grocery store, Kathy represents as a director Neiman's Family Market on Kearney Drive. Now, Kathy, we're going to talk about your renovations. We're going to talk about all the things that Neiman's does for the community and how and why they showed up here. But first, I think our audience needs to know a little bit about you. Where did you grow up?
All right. I grew up on a dairy farm in China Township. So I'm a country farm girl at heart.
And where was that farm located?
On Bell River Road, just right near that Radicke Mills on Indian Trail.
So if anybody's been out in the countryside lately, if you're on Indian Trail heading north, and there's a little bit of a curve and a bridge, and you can go Lindsay Road to the left, you can go Bell River Road to the right, you can cross the bridge, and it's either Radicke or Wadhams.
Yes.
That's your homegrown
That's the location,
territory.
yes.
Now, did the whole Neiman family grow up out
Yes,
in
we
that,
did.
on that farm?
Yes, we did.
What elementary school would you have gone to?
I went to East China on Meisner Road.
And then, I bet junior high was in our studio today.
It was. Yes, I went to St. Clair.
The old St. Clair Junior High, and then you were a proud St. Clair Saint, graduated from St. Clair High School.
Yes, I did.
But to make things even, though, you married your husband, was he a Holy Cross or a Marine City?
He was
High?
a Holy Cross.
Holy Cross.
Yes.
So you've got our Blue Water area pretty well
Yes.
covered.
And then my kids all went to Marine City.
Well, so you don't know whether you should put on
We're
orange and
confused.
black or
That's
red
right.
and blue,
We'll
or a
wear
little
anything
bit
we
of
want.
both. When you graduated from St. Clair High, Kathy, you went upstairs on graduation day and you pulled that crystal ball out of the closet and you buffed it all up and you looked at it. And what did that crystal ball say you were really going to do with the rest of your life?
Well, I went to FC4 to start with, and originally thought I was going to be a teacher, and ended up working for a car dealership in Richmond, Dick Hubar, and just kind of developed from there, went into a leasing company, and got married and started a family. So I kind of stopped everything that I was heading in that direction, turned around, and had 3 children.
And somewhere along the way, with having those 3 children and being a stay-at-home mom, your phone rang one day, and who was that on the other
That was
end?
East China. So I had many years in with East China. In fact, I worked with East China over the years, right up to 2007.
So you had a number of years with the school
I
district.
did.
And let's connect the Neiman family tree for a minute. Now, we see the name Neiman on the family market. That was your maiden name, but you were in the school business. Your brother Ed, that we all knew, was in the architectural construction business. What's the Neiman connection to Neiman's Market?
Okay, so I have 2 other brothers. My eldest was Larry, and the next one was Hal. And Hal was a school teacher in Ann Arbor and lived in that great town and with his 3 children. And his father-in-law came along one day after he had taught middle school for many years and thought he needed a little change. Father-in-law said, hey, I'm in the grocery business. There's a store option in Alpena, Michigan, which at that time I don't think had a road going to it. I'm not sure. But they packed up the Volkswagen and they headed up there, and that's the history. They have been in business in Alpena for 34 years.
Wow. And then they also, my in-laws were in Tawas for a while. Wasn't there a Neiman's Market in Tawas? Or
Yes,
is there still one?
there still is. Back in 2008, they opened that store in Tawas, and then we opened in, 2006, and we opened in 2007.
Well, you know, when people click on our famous Channel 6, and on Monday they do the At the Market at your store, and they always have the smiling, happy Brian Neiman as kind of like the co-host of the show.
Yes.
What's Brian's connection to you?
Well, it just depends on who I'm talking to. He's really my nephew, but he calls me sis because most people think I am his sister, and I just love that, and I take it. So he's finally accepted that title. So my brother Hal, Nate and Amy and Brian are his children, and that's the connection there.
And now we have a Neiman's Market in, we're going to get St. Clair in a moment, but we have one in Alpena and Tawas, and then we have our St. Clair, which we're going to talk about, and now you're also in Clarkston.
Correct.
So are you the Neiman that is in the driver's seat in the St. Clair store?
I am, and my son Ryan is the director out in Clarkston.
All right. And who's in Tawas?
Tawas right now, they have another gentleman as well as in Alpena, but at one time, all Hal's kids all ran stores.
Oh, great. Okay, now it's 2006, 2007. A lot of grocery stores were running into difficulties for lots of reasons, and whether it was the finances or the unions involved or whatever. And I believe the last store before you in there was a Farmer Jack. Mm-hmm. And Farmer Jack's decided they're no longer going to do business. And I think Kroger might have bought some of their stores someplace. But it looked like all of a sudden there was going to be a hole in the grocery market in St. Clair. Connect the dots for me on how did your brother come to the conclusion that St. Clair might be the next stop?
Okay, well, when you're in the grocery business and you're doing a good job, you get some offers. And so this option came up, and Hal thought, that's my hometown, that's where I grew up. And if you know Hal, he had many names, Tex and Hal and Harold, and so he was known by many different names. But he thought, what a perfect match. So I had talked to him many times and said, when I retire, I think I'll move to Alpena and I'll work for you, because he always had the best stories. He's a great storyteller. And I got a phone call one day, much earlier than I thought, saying, what are you doing in a couple months? So I left East China at the end of the school year of 2007, and on July 7th started at Neiman's Family Market.
And opened the store 2 months later.
Yes.
Now, you had mentioned, though, that the one nice thing about going into a store that was already established, and Farmer Jack wasn't that old, that it didn't require at that time a lot of structural change. I mean, you could
It was pretty
tidy
much
things
moved
up
in.
and order the supplies and
Yes.
get rolling.
Yes. To put the Neiman touch on it,
Yeah.
you know, the colors and the look and the feel.
So in 2007, you came to town, and Neiman's Market is like a bastion of the community, and there's a lot of community support that Neiman's Family Market, you know, I had mentioned Brian at the market, but there's a number of things. Tell me about the soup kitchen.
Okay. We have a neat thing we do 2 Thursdays every month. On Thursday morning, I make the announcement, and some of you may have heard it. It's Soup Kitchen Day. So what they would normally have thrown out that day, everybody saves. So I don't know what I'm making for dinner that night, but we take it to the Soup Kitchen in Marine City, and there's like 4 or 5 cooks that all work together, and we put together a meal feeding between 50 and 70 people.
Wow, that's quite an
Very
effort.
cool. Yeah.
Now, we're always not sure when we're going to air our program, so I don't know if we're going to make it to Punchki Day before or after. But I happened to go into that store on the Tuesday before Lent last year, and there was all kinds of racket going on, and it looked like a double load of senior citizen buses must have pulled up because of all the action. Tell us what happens at Neiman's on Punchki Day.
That kind of has developed into something big. Punchki Day is huge in this area, probably the biggest of all 4 stores. We sell approximately 13,000 punchkis during the season.
Wow.
But as a specialty on that day, obviously it's a Polish tradition. Ted Pavlik and Willie, they come in and they just put on a great show, and there's dancing and there's singing and laughing. If you haven't been to one of those events, it usually starts around 2 on that Fat Tuesday, which is the 13th.
13th of February this year?
Yes.
Well, we hope that our producer, Paul Dingerman, gets us on before February 13th,
Okay.
so that people You've got to pop by Neiman's
You
Market
have
on
to.
that day. It is hilarious.
It is.
And the other thing that I heard that those 13,000 punchkis that you sell are the ones that have no calories in them.
That's incorrect, but okay.
Yeah. All right. Now, things are going well in at Neiman's, and you also have that goofy thing. Some of us say goofy, some say beautiful. Just before Christmas, I think it's our old soccer coach shows up. Tell us what he does in your parking lot.
Okay, Dave Fry came to me one November and said, I got an idea, and all I need is like 100 carts. Well, at that time of year, carts are a little bit of a rare commodity, so I had to kind of lie a little bit and say he's only going to use 50. And he's gotten it down to 50. But over the years, he puts his new creation and a new twist on it, and every year it looks a little different, and every year that people come to me and go, that's the best one ever. So I don't know how many years Dave's going to be able to do this, but he brings people from all over.
Now, we've got new carts. They're not the wire ones anymore.
I had to hide them. I had to hide 50 of them.
Oh,
So I have them
50
in the
of
back.
the old ones?
Yes, he couldn't do it with the plastic ones.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay, Dave Fry, if you're listening, the pressure's on. People think it gets better every year, so you better start planning for next year. Okay, and one other thing, we have the soup kitchen, and you do the Ted Pavlik, and we do the thing on the air. I thought I had one other one I wanted to ask you about, but it'll come back to me before.
We have the kids table. I don't know if you've seen that.
Tell me about
The kids table is a healthy living kind of concept where the kids can come in and put a quarter in to the little bank, and all the proceeds go to kids in distress, and they get to pick out a healthy fruit option, and then there's little carts right there. So they love those little carts. It's the thrill.
I remember what my item was. You do the safety thing.
Safety Town?
Safety Town.
Yes.
Tell
We
me
do that
about
with the city. They sponsor it in our parking lot, and it is phenomenal. It brings in a lot of people. We usually have a hot dog roast going on at the same time, but we provide the venue, and the city rec does a great job of lots of fun stuff for kids.
Okay, let's think about this now, Kathy. Been in business for 10 years or 11. I think it's kind of funny when I see the different name tags on people that have worked there
We
for
just
10
got those,
years.
yes.
Well, they can't be 12 yet. You've only been
We
there
only
11.
do them 5 and 10 years. So.
5 and 10 years is good. Oh, you're the only game in town. You've got great customers. You've got a great staff. What was the motivation for putting significant money into a total renovation project?
When we're in the grocery business, about every 10 years, you have to spiff it up and get to the times. Our healthy living section is one of our big totes of being great, of gluten-free and organic, so we've really expanded in that area. We've also gotten a much bigger liquor and wine and alcohol section. And our biggest excitement is our produce has been able to expand, as well as we have a Michigan, when you first come in the door, all Michigan-made products. And then our corner cafe, which just unveiled a few days ago, is going to have a ready, you can make your own subs you can to order with boar's head meat and cheeses and a full salad bar. It will be a destination. I always said people used to walk through the corner cafe, now they're going to go to the cafe.
Well, it's an interesting concept, and you know, like Whole Foods,
Right.
Fresh Markets of the world are all into. There are so many people that have busy schedules, and the kids are in sports, and it's much easier to pop by and grab something from the deli or sit in the cafe. And your cafe that you put together looks very inviting.
It is. It's going to be exciting. Oh, we're also going to have espresso drinks, so there's not going to be much that you're not going to have over there. It's going to be a great place to have little meetings or meet your friends at.
How about, how many employees at Neiman's Market?
About 95 right now at my store.
Wow, that's a pretty impressive number. What's the turnover? I mean, do you have a hard time keeping employees, or do people try it? And
There are times. I mean, I love the fact that lots of times people will say, boy, your people are so friendly. You draw from a special pool. And I always say, you're either a Neiman employee or you're not, and you can tell that pretty fast going in. The people we have are super conscientious and really own their departments.
Right. Now, competition in most businesses, but really independent grocers really have had a hard time with the big boxes like the Costco's and the Sam's Club, but then you roll in, you know, the Kroger's and the Meijers of the world. What does Neiman's offer that maybe the big boxes can't?
I would say it's our customer service and our friendliness. There's a family atmosphere there that can't be matched. That when you come to shop, we care about you, and they care about us. So it's a mutual feeling, but I see it on people's faces. It's not just another thing to go shopping. They really enjoy it.
I'm not going to ask you to do a commercial for Neiman's Market because you are a walking, talking billboard for the company, but you've grown up in this area. You've raised your children in this area, and with your job at Neiman's Market, you see almost everyone in the community. If we asked you, and the Chamber of Commerce, and we've had Pat O'Connor on in the past, is a significant player in the community. If we said for the Chamber, Kathy, we need you to do a 30-second commercial on why people should consider living and working in our area, what would you tell people?
I would say it's that family atmosphere and just people caring for one another. It's unmatched. That when you come there, people know you by name, and I had said before, I'm not very good at names, but I definitely know every face, and I know their story, and it's good to hear their story.
What is the absolute best part of your job at Neiman's Market?
The best part is that they allow me to pretty much do what I want as far as out of the box, and I'm assuming I have some of the traits of my brother, who he's had cows in his store. I have never had done that, but
no, but you've had Santa's reindeer out
we
in
do
front.
have reindeer, you're right. We've had some crazy stuff, but just the ability to, it's not a corporate atmosphere where that if one of our directors or one of our departments comes up and has a crazy idea, it's like, well, let's give it a try. We say no to very few things.
What's probably the most challenging part of your career?
Hiring and firing can be that way sometimes, but for the most part, it's a really great job.
Now, when you have an operation like Neiman's Family Market, I mean, you have your meat, your dairy, and your produce, and your grocery, and your beverage, I guess. Who actually does, like, the ordering and keeping track of everything so it's not outdated? Or
Yes. Well, I always tell
or
young
it's
kids.
what your customers really want.
I always tell kids that are coming just to say they're just going to be service clerks. You can never just be a service clerk. Every employee is very important in what they do. But our departments basically run a small business in itself. The produce manager runs her business. The meat manager runs his business. They know what they're bringing in. They know what's selling. They're given that little bit of authority to go ahead and what do you think is going to sell, what's not going to sell. And then, of course, we always meet once a week and talk about it and tweak it here and there. But they have a lot of say.
With your new renovations, and it has been an adventure, I would say. When did you start that?
It was,
September,
yeah,
before
for sure. I would say September. It's like forever, I think.
It was an adventure to do the grocery shopping in Neiman's Market while things were being renovated, and now, you pretty much everything's
Yes, that's what I tell people.
organized in
We're not moving it again.
the grand opening. I'll say was because it's
then.
going to be on
The 5th.
February 5th, 6th. What is it?
The 5th.
Monday, February 5th was your grand opening because by the time we are on the air, it will have been completed. But you feel good about
Oh yeah, it's
what
so
things are
exciting.
looking like?
Yeah, it's just very exciting. I invite everyone to come see it and just feel it. It's if you hadn't been there a while, you won't believe it. And even if you were there 2 days ago, it seems like it changes every day. So.
Who's been influential in your life?
Oh, well, I would definitely say my brother Hal, my nephew Brian, as far as in the grocery business. I attribute a lot to God. He's directing this whole ship, and it's been pretty amazing because I definitely, there's days it's like, oh my goodness, what were they thinking? But it's worked out.
You did, and you've had a pretty amazing venture when you think about dairy farm out there on Bell River Road to Huvar's to marrying the kid down the road, 3 kids later, and car business, school business, and now being this integral part of the community. It's been a pretty impressive show.
Yeah, I'm very blessed.
Kathy, I've enjoyed having you today, and for our audience at home, if you have not visited Neiman's Family Market in the past few months, or if you have in the past few months, you won't recognize it as it was maybe last summer. They work very hard, not only about supplying products and services that our community needs, but they do it with a smile on their face. They do it in a great, clean atmosphere and with probably the friendliest staff of any business in our area. It's been our pleasure on Conversations to have Kathy Neiman Pizzo as our guest today. Thanks, Kathy.
Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. We're so glad that you were able to come this morning and help us celebrate what I know is my favorite place in town to come to. Anybody who ever bumps into me here knows that I'm here literally 5 days a week. And Brian Ulatowski, the president of the Chamber, and myself are here to say that the Chamber of Commerce knows more than anybody what kind of support and help that this city gets from Brian Neiman and all the other Neimans that put this store here and then make their mark all over the city. So we're delighted to be here for the reopening of this beautiful facility.
We are humbled by the amount of people that were here today. Thank you so much to the Chamber, to the community that we have just taken the Neiman family in, coming back to St. Clair. Kind of grew up, my dad grew up in St. Clair area, my mom in Richmond, so truly blessed to be part of this. I've got a quick, long list of thank yous, starting with my mom and dad, Hal and Jean Neiman, and the efforts they started back in 1983 when we got into this crazy business. My brother and sister, Amy and Nathan, they are nonstop helping get us to where we are today. Yes, it's Amy's birthday today as well, too. Love the support I get from Stephanie Neiman and then my kids to make this community really special. I'm very, very blessed to do that. Thanks, a special thanks to the staff, Kathy and John and Jeff and everybody in here, because it couldn't have been done without it. You thought it was hard shopping, try coming in every morning and not knowing where anything is. So they did a phenomenal job. They worked really hard to make sure people could find everything they needed, so that was great. Brad Nab from Neiman Store Services, yes. I know the sales at Murphy's and LaCroix's and Pepper Joe's will definitely take a hit now that Brad's leaving town, but he's been here with the contractors. He's been a great help. Him and his team out of Wisconsin, this is what they do. They do independent grocery stores throughout the country. We were very lucky to find them. The decor, the design, they did an outstanding job by taking and listening to what we wanted to do and what the community wanted. So it really was great. I also want to certainly thank Lakestone Bank, who helped finance the project with us, and we have great friendships with those guys, and we appreciate everything they did. And then we got quite a few local contractors, MGD, back there, those guys, Mike and Lynn. Thanks so much for your guys' efforts. And again, Brenner Electric, Northeast Plumbing, Husband Services, and we were fortunate to get a lot of great local people, but MGD, those guys were here, and they did such a nice job helping make sure that our customers were taken care of throughout this process. So thank you to the community for everything you do for us, and we're just blessed to be here, and enjoy the new store. If we need anything, we're not going to do this for a while, so just wait. So, but go ahead and cut the ribbon and we'll get started.
One nice touch that you have to look at, either Brian or Brad or somebody. Over in the wicker in the swine section, all the signs came out of my mom and dad's farm. They were the names of the cows that were on those signs. They've taken them and cleaned them up and put them up there. Pretty tough.
Thank you very, very much. So there's plenty of grocery carts out front. Everything is for sale. Please.
You've been watching Conversations with Tom Shorkey. Conversations explores the past, the present, and the future of the communities in which we live through the eyes of interesting individuals. If you have an idea for a future conversation, please contact us at www.watchctv.org. Thanks for watching Conversations with Tom Shorkey.